a sheet, law of empowerment. That's what we did last week. So, since I didn't have copies last week, I went ahead and gave those to you. And then today we're going to be talking about the law of the picture. And we discussed last week, before we left, what does your family see when they observe you? What do your colleagues see? What do your friends see? And are they following you? Because people do what people see. So, and on your sheet there, it takes a leader to know a leader, to show a leader, and to grow a leader. One statement John Maxwell always says. But people do what people see. So, you know, everybody's played the game follow the leader. You know, you do what the leader says to do, right? And you try to match what they do. So the greatest gift a leader can give is being a good example. Because 89% of what we know, we've learned visually. You know, we've learned by example. We grew up in it. We've been surrounded by it. You know, that's why different people, when they come from different areas, you can tell because that culture, that culture comes out of them. Like if somebody came in this room from, like, say the East Coast, Boston, even beyond their accent, we would just be able to, this vibe most people have because of the culture that they've been surrounded by, because they become what they've seen. So you have to ask yourself, who are you learning from? You know, who are you following? Who are you emulating? Who is your mentor? Now, and on this note, here's something I'll ask all of us. We all should have, and most people do, whether they realize it or not, have some type of impersonal mentor. In other words, you have a favorite author, you have a favorite speaker, you have a favorite, you know, somebody that you learn from or you like, or you know, and so they're kind of an off-site mentor. But do you have anyone personally in your life that you would say is a mentor? You know, I think that's really important. Someone that you can go to, someone that you can ask questions to, someone that you personally know, a human being that you can say eyeball to eyeball, face to face. So that's something to think about. Now, who is learning from you is the other thing. And that's kind of like what we talked about before, you know, 33%, 30, you know, spend time here, here, and here. So we're whole, we're helping, we're relaxing, and then we're learning, you know, at the same time from the people around us. So we're not only creating this visual picture, but also this concept, and you know, the words hypocrite come to mind, the words consistency, the word integrity.
That's every Christian that is alive.
There you go, right? Yeah. Because you're also, are you practicing what you preach, is how I would put it. Are you doing what you say? You know, I talked to somebody the other day, he's an assistant pastor, and we were just chilling out at the Y and talking about different things, and you know, one thing he told me, he's like, man, he said I'm having to put into practice the same advice I've given other people. You know, like it was real easy when it was me giving it to them because you knew what was right, you knew the best thing, and so, but you're not the one having to live by it. And he said, but now it's like God is making me live by the advice, and I'm having to give it to myself, you know. So we have to practice what we preach. We have to line up, because there's even scripture, I forget exactly where it's at, but it talks about you destroy everything you built up. You make yourself of no use, because no matter how talented you are, no matter how good you can speak, no matter how nice you are, no matter how loving and caring, no matter how wealthy and giving you are, if you don't line up to if you don't live what you preach, you've lost all integrity.
I think it says something about you be the least in the kingdom.
You destroy it all.
If you're not following what?
Yeah.
Where's that scripture? I think
Well,
it's Matthew.
It talks about too about for whatever, to not judge, because for whatever judgment you lay on somebody else, that is the same judgment
That's scripture, yeah.
That's
that's gonna
7.
come against you.
Matthew 7.
And there's somewhere else in there too, I can't remember the reference, I can't remember the actual verbiage, but it basically says that whatever you have accused another of, be careful that it doesn't
Yeah,
fall
Judge not
upon
that you
you.
be judged.
Yeah.
For with what judgment you judge, you
There you
shall be
go.
judged.
Right.
With what measure you meet, you shall be met.
Right.
To you again.
And that's
Yeah.
where you
It's,
really gotta take
Yeah.
meekness.
Well, yeah,
You've
yeah.
gotta embrace meekness.
That don't mean you can't judge, that just means you bet, whatever you judge, you better make sure you're doing it.
Exactly.
Right.
It's kind of what you said, you better
Right.
be a doer.
If you're gonna be,
Yeah,
if you're gonna be hardcore.
that's the main
you better
thing,
be-
MRDC.
Yes.
Don't be telling kids something you ain't doing. And
Right, exactly.
it's something like a lot of times, I went through a divorce, I couldn't be preaching on certain things. It's like,
Yep.
I could preach on a failed marriage, but I couldn't preach on a successful marriage, and I was convicted of that. I'm like, you can't do that. Right now you can't, and until things get right, you gotta stick with something else. And I think a lot of people, at least to me, to be real, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You can't preach on something sin you're wallowing in, unless you confess it and you go on.
Yeah.
But you gotta be real with the kids, because they know that too, man.
Well, and there's like, there's one thing there's a few things that really get me. Like just every time I see it and hear of it, I'm like, And one of them is like, police officers that get busted for drugs, get busted for
Carrying ammunition,
DUIs.
selling ammunition to them.
Yeah, right.
I know that, they went to school with them.
Yeah, we're on tape, you know that, right?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I didn't mention no name. I know a lot of names from my past.
No, I know who that is, though.
Well,
Yeah.
and take it.
But, because it's like, don't do that. You arrest people every day for that.
Yeah.
Don't do it yourself. Stay away from it. I mean, I understand some of the guys who want to hang out and have a beer, but
Yeah, it's different.
yeah, don't be that.
Don't
Don't be
forget that they're supposed to set the example. Be the example.
Yeah, lead by example.
Right. And to take it even further, one reason I believe why PKs have such a hard time and end up in a bad rap is because they not only heard it, but they saw it right at home,
Oh yeah.
what Dad preached.
You gotta be
Sometimes
real
Dad
careful.
didn't do.
You gotta be real careful.
So there was that fine line that was constantly being
Yeah.
broken
Yeah.
or crossed, and it was confusing to them, and they grow up in this confusion
Yeah.
and not, they hear what the example's supposed to be, but they're not seeing it.
Here's the way it is on that police force. I had a guy that was in my clique that was the cop,
Mm.
and he told me what they did was almost like the drug dealer. He said, you either choose that side or this side.
Mm.
You got the cops and then you got the drug dealer. He says it's the same way in the police force. You either got this or you're that, because and you gotta make that decision, so.
It's like the movie Training.
Yeah, he told me some detail. I never
You ever
told.
seen that?
What's that?
Denzel Washington.
Yeah.
Training Day, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
A lot of movies come off that.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the way it is in real life, and people don't know that because they just think cops are whatever. I don't know what they think, but I know, and it's like,
Yeah. Well, and two though, it's like this. It's like in any situation, even with Christians who are hypocrites. It's like when you see that one Christian on the news,
yeah.
one Christian on the news, it's like, you're like, oh, dude, don't do that. Don't say you're a Christian.
Dude, I just like,
You know what I mean?
that's how far I
Because
said that.
you're just
I just
messing
watched
up
Steve-
for all of us.
I watched Steve Harvey last night,
Yeah.
and when he first got saved,
Yeah.
and it wasn't 30 seconds later, he's saying every F word and a
Yeah, right.
It might not sound like Jesus, because I still gotta work on it. This cussing thing I ain't got down yet.
Yeah.
Because but I'm working on it.
At least he admits it.
Yeah. And he's like, I mean,
at least he does admit that.
Yeah, well,
That's good.
he just got saved and he's like, my mama's been saved all her life,
Yeah.
and I'm working on it.
Yeah, right?
I crossed over, but I'm still working on some things, so you're gonna have to give me some grace, that's what he said.
But now, on the flip side, I remember as a kid, my Sunday school teacher, she said she didn't even like to wear a cross
Yeah.
because she didn't want to have that, she didn't want to mess up and then somebody stumble
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Okay, I think that it's okay to wear that cross and then you need to stand up and live according to that cross.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't not wear it, and so that you can
Excuse yourself.
excuse yourself, yeah.
What we get in that is, as a whole, we come as a body, but you gotta remember, the certain people, I'm gonna come in contact, Clay might not never see.
Right.
I'm dealing with some different people than you're dealing with. So, Paul said to be everything to everybody.
Yeah,
And he's like,
all things to all.
and I can't judge you on what you're trying to minister to some other people. But even though people bring that in here, we gotta give them a little grace because everybody's dealing with some idiots, and especially lack of knowledge today. And when I look at people and I thought, well, man, why they got that car? I don't care, because whoever they're ministering to, maybe God's convicted, like that lady you're talking about. Maybe God convicted her not to wear this because of the people she's ministering to. Because God will convict people of different things. That don't mean the rules change.
Yeah, right.
But you're accountable for what you're convicted of.
Right,
And that's where the grace comes in, not judging.
That's true too.
That's a good
And that
point.
has a lot of, that carries a lot of weight to me, because it's like, quit looking at that stuff, because they're not ministering to the people you're talking to. You're dealing with these people. That's who you gotta deal with. So I don't want you doing this. You're modeling to these people.
Well,
There's
yeah.
a whole certain thing,
Yeah.
what I was gonna say is, everybody gotta live by this, certain standards, and no matter where you're at, that's gotta be right.
Yeah, there's
some that
a-
you can go, okay,
There's a
Christ,
parameter.
yeah,
You know what I mean? There is a border.
under the umbrella of Christ.
But within that border, there are different operations, there's different ways to go about things. And one thing we always have to come back to is what is, like, this is the scripture given to us for the whole picture, right? Like you said, we all have personal convictions. God deals with us each individually. That's where, to my knowledge anyway, that's where that scripture kind of talks about working out your own salvation with fear and
Like a
trembling.
pastor dealing with this biker group.
Yeah.
He changes clothes, he
It's
adapts to
different.
it, that's what he does.
Sure.
You could be going, why are you doing that? Just be real, just wear what you wear. We don't care.
Yeah.
But you gotta give grace here, because
Yeah.
he's building an image for these people,
Yeah.
and trying to usher them into the body,
Yeah.
slowly, and I understand that.
And yet, he doesn't continue wearing those
Right,
clothes when
right.
he comes in front of the main congregation, because
Yeah.
at the same time, he has to give grace to them
Yeah.
as well.
That's
And
what-
dress
that's why he
according
needs
to
that
what
example.
he needs to be, he needs to be
Yeah.
that example for them as
That's
well.
a good example of trying to switch over and be,
Right.
And-
Well, that's why I wore a t-shirt today instead of my tank top.
that's why I'm wearing muscle shirts, you know what I mean? Because I don't want
You know what I'm
to
saying?
be looking.
Because you're right,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? It's like, God, look how big his arm
I
is.
know. Don't want to be.
I wanna be like him when I
You don't want to be
For a while, Clay's kids was always looking.
Yeah.
At him and me, he's like, look, he's got stripes, Dad.
Yeah. When his veins would pop out, they'd say, he's got
I'm
stripes.
jacking them kids, it's funny.
That's what they said, he's got stripes. So, we talked here, we talked about basically the things we just went through is maintaining your credibility and how to be a credible leader. If you don't have credibility, you don't have anything. You don't even have you don't have a foundation to start with if you're not credible in what you're doing. And it takes time. It takes time to build credibility. So the first thing we have to work on above and beyond anything is ourselves. And
Just read
we know that.
Pull out the mote of your eye.
Yeah,
Out the mote
yeah.
that's in your eye.
Exactly. And number one, it starts right here. The first person you lead is yourself. Period. Hands down. So some things we could think about, just as we're trying to chip away and allow God to mold us and shape us is, and these are questions we could ask God is, what areas of our life need changed? And then how will this change and impact the picture we're sending out there to everyone else? So again, it's not about changing others until we first change ourselves. And then once there's a certain trait, a certain characteristic, a certain lifestyle, whatever, once you get that down for yourself, then you can, it's kind of like, Jesus told Peter, right? You remember that? He said, basically, Peter, you're going to get messed up. Mm-hmm. But he said, then when you're, did he use the word converted? Basically, when you're restored,
Mm-hmm.
then go and teach others. When you're restored, then go and do the work. In other words, there's going to be this time of sifting, and you're going to be tore up, and you're going to be in a mess. But when you get through that, so you gather yourself, you get restoration, and then you can go. So change yourself first, then you can go and do what God has you to do. So it's kind of like the, what they teach you, we've probably all heard about when you're on say you was on an airplane, you're on a flight, emergency happens, the oxygen mask drops. You got your kids with you, or you got a loved one with you. Your human, your compassion, your love wants to try to help them. Because you're thinking, okay, they can't help themselves, I need to help them. But they always tell you, you have to help yourself first. Because if you're passed out, they have nobody. Mm-hmm. So you have to take care of yourself. You have to and it's that way with our finances. It's that way with our health, our physical health. It's that way with our spiritual health. It's that way with our soul, our education, our emotions, our mind, what we feed ourselves, in all aspects of life. It starts with us. Because I've seen parents that were so consumed, with financially helping their children all the time, that they depleted their own resources. They were living below their children. And then when they're gone, what's left? That's why the scripture actually says, and this is it's on the subject, but we could definitely go off on a trail here real quick. But the scripture even says a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children.
Yep.
Still working on that.
Well, and what that, and it's not a, and this is where we have to read the Bible correctly. It's not necessarily a biblical command. Right? Mm-hmm. But it is, it's a word of wisdom. Mm-hmm. And what it's saying is, a wise person will focus on the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, not instant gratification.
Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, teach a man to fish.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Feed himself for life.
Exactly. Same principle.
As well as building an inheritance, teach them to build their own inheritance.
Right, rather than giving the money to the kids.
Work for it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Teach them to work when you die, they'll always have a means to make money.
Yeah.
That's why I look at when I'm gone, my kids be good workers, and they won't be like, what do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
At least if I haven't done anything.
Who's going to feed me?
Yeah. They'll be in the food stamp line.
Here a few
years.
years,
I have them very long.
a month ago or so, I had 4 of my boys, Jesse, Nathan, Haven, and Carter. I was out cutting wood, and we felled a couple trees, so I was cutting it up. And I had them working with me. I told them I'd pay them each $5 an hour, and they would haul limbs and throw wood, right?
And they decided to form a union.
Yeah, right. They tried. But what happened was little Jesse, it was hard work. So little Jesse, it's about a half hour, man. He's like, I'm done. He left me.
Whoa, wait.
So
when do you call that?
Yeah.
When can you call that?
Right.
You're the leader now. You let him call that?
Yeah. Well, I said okay. I said go ahead. So he goes. Then Landon said, he's like, what time is it? what time is it? What time is it?
You know, yeah.
He waited till he got his hour in. Then he's like, Dad, I said, I'm done. I said,
You probably figured that.
okay. So he took off. And then Haven and Carter stayed for the full 2 hours, and
Yeah.
we got what we needed done. So then we get in the house. This is about training them and teaching.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And I got my change out, I got my cash out. And I'm like, okay, Jesse, you worked a half hour. I said, here's $2.50. He goes, and then I handed Landon a 5. And Jesse's like, can I get 5 because I worked? And I'm like, no, you only worked half hour, and that's just, you didn't work the full time. And he was sitting there trying to talk to him. I'm like, nope, sorry. And then I handed Carter and Haven the 10, and they were like, dang, you know? And I said, well, that's what you did.
Yeah.
And so it was just that little funny, teachable moment, you know, that,
Yeah, that's good. Good.
you know what I'm saying? So
It was
anyways,
the wrong ways.
yeah, you know, so it was funny though. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, it is. I'll give him $100 for working, but he worked all week. Nathan did, and Travis worked the whole day.
Yeah.
He's only 7. He worked the whole day, and he'd just do whatever he could. He would pick up the pieces that, you know, not the brush, but the
Uh-huh.
pieces I chunked.
Yeah.
Put them in a pile. That was
Yeah.
his job.
Uh-huh.
Everything he could pick up, and that's pretty cool because they worked hard. And out in the heat,
Yeah.
it's a lot. And
Yeah.
Ted and Nathan worked like a grown-up, so I'm like,
Yeah.
man, I could use them every day.
Yeah.
It's too, by the time they had it all raked up, by the time we picked up the brush and stuff, they had it all raked up. And I'm like, man, nice.
Yeah,
Because that's
yeah.
the raking.
He gets you his little family business going. It's like Carter,
Yeah.
he's interested in coming to the barber shop now. And, yeah.
Nice.
So he's like, Dad, he said, because we was talking about booth rent, chair rent and stuff, and he said, so am I gonna have to pay you rent?
Always, that's what
I said, oh yeah.
That's what Nathan asked.
Yeah. I said, oh yeah, oh yeah. And he's like, so you're gonna be making twice what I am? I'm like, yeah.
With Nathan, he's gonna have to pay, equipment rental.
Yeah. I don't really take that out on them. I mean, I don't charge them rent or nothing yet. That's what I said,
They're
when you
learning.
live under Dad's house, you don't have to pay rent. I'm not helping you by charging you rent. I said, but when you go out in the world, you're paying rent.
Yeah,
I said, so save your money.
Yeah.
Know the difference.
Exactly.
I said, you got an opportunity to make good money, and for
Yeah.
a little kid, that's pretty good money. If you go
Oh.
to Chip to Gatlinburg or something, you got money.
oh yeah.
So you get what you want. They like to buy stuff for people.
Yeah,
Trinkets, and they'll buy it for
Yeah.
their mom or their whoever they think of.
yeah.
That's
So when
pretty
they're
cool.
23, 25, 28,
They can
30,
still stay.
stay without.
It's a
paying
safe
rent?
haven. I let people off the street stay. I'm sure they're gonna let my family stay. But it's usually for a period. It's like a house of refuge. You come, you rebuild, you go.
Yeah.
And if you don't go, I give you an out date. You will go.
Don't go, you will go.
Like Jerry, I had to say, May 1st, you're going. Now you have an out date. Your rent, you know, I never charge you rent.
A goal, now you
I
have
can't
a
help
goal.
somebody by trying to make money off of them.
Right,
I gotta pay my rent regardless.
Right.
I'm not there to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not there to make me money, I'm there to help you, so I'm not making you pay rent, but at the same time, you
But they
need to get out on your own. by
They
you
do
not paying rent.
increase your utilities.
I know that, but that's helping, that's what a help
No.
is, and you have to give them an outlet, it's like,
Yeah.
and if they
That
do have
is
some money, they
teaching.
can throw in a little bit if they want, that's the thing. You see where they're at.
yeah.
If they go, here's $100.
That goes to
Like,
teaching someone to fish.
Yeah. That's it, it's like get on your own. But pretty soon when everything's there, you just say, here's your outlay. Really, and you sit down and talk about it and go, look, you've got a lot of things in place, it's time for you to move on. I'm hindering you now. I'm hindering you. And that's
Right,
hard to
right.
say that, but that is.
Start enabling,
I don't have a
yes.
problem, I've done it quite a few
Yes,
times.
yes.
You can't feel bad about that when you've had 8 months of helping. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, and
Right.
don't feel bad about it, and know that you've done the best you could, whether they fall or not. You've done the best.
Right, exactly.
And that's part of leadership too, taking somebody in. You know how it is.
For sure.
Yeah.
Everybody can say, let's minister to somebody, but how many you took in your house? Your house is kingdom. Your
Yeah.
car is kingdom. Everything you got should be kingdom. It is to me. I mean, if you're gonna be real, it is.
Right.
And a lot of people won't take people in their house. Oh, I ain't coming in my house. They might steal something.
Yeah.
Are you that attached to something? What are you attached to?
Yeah.
Why? Can't you let that go? I got thousands of dollars worth of equipment and drums, and it's like, if they're gonna go, it's gonna go. But no, they won't ever get help again, and God will replace whatever, because I'm doing work here. That's what I look at it. I mean, I don't know, but
Well, we take it in the same person, and
Yeah,
I view it a little bit different.
well, you're
Because that-
different house. I got kids, you know what I mean? And
Well,
stuff.
when you got somebody who has to live on protein more than carbs, and you
Yeah.
bring in somebody who all they want is protein, it's kind of hard to keep that meat stash without saying, okay, come on, help out here.
Yeah, I give a little bit more lean, it just depends the situation, but for me, that worked all right. But I didn't plan on it being that long, but it took that long. And it's okay, but
Yeah.
like I said, you gotta have an out date.
You gotta have an outdate.
But it's a
You
house
have
of
to have
refuge.
some boundaries for that person as well.
That's true
It's-
leadership, whether it's one person or 20, because you're opening up, not your house, you're opening up your lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
People know who
Absolutely.
you really are. It's like, well, this is who I am. And, you know, hopefully they come away with a good, well, usually they don't, because that's just the way it is, because they feel like
Oh,
they should have stayed longer, you know? You know how people will milk it, and they're finally,
Yes, you do. And that's why
Right.
for us, it was a.
But I like the example with the kids, because
Yeah,
there's no greater example than to lead your kids. And I've been working on that hard. That's why I haven't been in a lot of things in leadership this year, because I've been working hard. I made it a point to back out and work on my family. I'm like, these kids need to learn some things, spiritually and I can spend all my life just working. And it's like, I gotta teach them some stuff, because I might not be here next year, who knows?
You never know.
That's leadership.
You never know.
Leadership 101.
You're always
And it
looking.
is funny,
Looking
when they
to the
come to
future.
pay, that's the funniest thing, when you get your money out and you come to pay them, because they're like, they don't understand nothing. Except the ones that work, Carter understand, he's getting $10, he understood that.
Yeah.
The little ones are funny though, because,
Yeah.
well, how come I don't, Travis, he didn't care, he's like, he got $2 or something, and he's like, man, that's awesome. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
I got money.
I give him a 5, you know, almost felt bad, I gave him $40 to work all day, and that, almost felt bad about doing that, because I wanted to give them more, they worked hard, the 2 older ones did.
You provide food and shelter though.
Yeah, I did, that's good enough.
That's what John Maxwell said his
Yeah.
dad told him, one time, he told his dad he wanted, money for doing chores.
I've heard that too.
And, he said, all the other kids.
There it was, I seen it on Andy.
Money, and he said, his dad said something like, well, he said, son, he said, by the time he was born, you already owed your mom for 9 months of room and board.
That was the thing on Andy Griffith, he got a quarter, one of the kids is a little spoiled brat, he got a brand new bike. He goes, parents are always running things, they never agree with you. And I get 75 cents a week, so we went to ask for a raise. Dad, can I get a raise? He's like, no. And then he goes, who told you that? He goes, well, the kids talked about it, and we get 75 cents. Because that's what we get, we don't have to do no chores.
Yeah, yeah,
And he got fired, is what it was.
yeah.
And then that kid showed him how to have a tantrum, how to throw a fit. And that kid was really one of them kids you wanted to whip back.
Yeah.
Being somebody else's.
Right.
So he ended up confiscating that bike and he was riding it on the sidewalk. But the end of the story is he got his job back in a 2-cent raise. He said, is that job still open? Because, could I apply for that job? He said, yeah. Then he felt, because that's pretty hard to admit, some of the things yeah, that was kind of hard, the kid said, and then he got 2-cent raise, but that was a good example.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Reminded me some things at the house. But that was
Right.
hilarious. That kid got took out behind the woodshed. Because he was going to let his dad get thrown in jail because his dad came to get that bike. And he was going to let his dad get thrown in jail because he was fake crying, you know what I mean? And the dad's like, shut up, so whatever the kid's name was. And he said, I'll take that bike. And he goes, I know somebody that wants that bike. And then the kid freaked out then. He goes, you want to take that conversation out back by the woodshed? And he goes, yeah, come on, he drug that kid out there. He goes, you mean a good old fashioned woodshed? The guy did, he's like, yep,
That's
he
funny.
burned it, but, yeah, it was a good, that was good. But that was a good example of raising your kid right. And see it, and Andy Griffin, he's a single dad. So there's no mom there, which ain't good. But in today's society, it's the opposite. Usually there's no dad.
Yeah.
We preach a whole hour easy on no dad.
Yeah.
P.D. Jakes got killer emotions as killer on no dad. And how it followed us and just how Satan breaks up. He said 10 years ago, the woman thou art loose, the devil attacked the women. He said, but David actually did woman thou art loose when he came back from the camp and rescued the women, you know what I mean? But he said, I wrote that, the devil was out to damage the women, to take every man that was in their life away so they'd be broken hearted. But he goes, he's out to kill the man. Kill the man. Because if he gets the man, he gets the woman because they're broken hearted, whether it's dad, son, you know what I mean? He gets a 2 for 1. That's a good teaching, but I'm not going to go into that because there's too many avenues you can travel down that road. But it's a killer. A men's class, we should be learning that because
Sure.
that's awesome.
Yeah, Jake's
That's a
awesome
good one.
relational stuff.
Sorry, go ahead.
Awesome relational stuff. So next week, we're going to talk about the law of buy-in, and that's what, again, each one feeds off the other. So today we talked about being the example, creating the picture. That's the only way that you're going to get buy-in from anyone to further a project. So for instance, again, situation where my wife works, they bring in a new leader and they just said, I'm changing things.
It's gonna be this way if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Was that the hospital?
There was no buy-in. There was no, hey, let's get together, hey.
Well, that's how today's management is.
And so
I've got a college degree, I know more than you do.
morale goes from here to here instantly because there's no buy-in, and which makes the transition harder. It causes more friction, and you lose good people. So,
Kind of like
Been there,
pulling the
done
rug
that.
out from underneath their feet.
Yeah.
There was no expectation for this.
yeah. So we're gonna talk about that buy-in because people buy into the leader before they buy into the vision. Like the things I read about George Washington, for instance. The reason those men fought as hard and as long and went through what they went through under George Washington's leadership is because they bought into him. And because they saw his aggressiveness, they saw his leadership, and it caused them to see the bigger picture of what they were fighting for. So there was buy-in, and man, there's some amazing stories there.
It's easy to convince somebody to buy into what you're doing if you're bought into it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not just talking about it,
Well,
you're
and
all
then,
into it.
and you can lose that buy-in by not being the proper example. The things we talked about today, you can get buy-in sometimes real easy, but you can lose it also very quickly.
If you try to force your will on
Yes, exactly.
I was given a vision, it's like, this is how it's gonna be, and
Yeah,
no explanation.
You gotta watch it.
Well, we're trying to get right here, so here's the avenue.
I think there's a line with that because.
well, and two, sometimes, like, okay, take Indianapolis, say we want to get to Indy from right here.
Yeah,
Probably 5 different ways you can go,
oh, sure.
Probably win all of them too, one time.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, some are longer, some are shorter, some are faster, some you have to
Depends
drive
on where you
slower.
go, yeah.
But there's different ways to get there, and if you're, put it in a basketball analogy, if you're a run and gun coach, you may have heard me say this, but say you want a team that just runs and shoot, high scoring, high energy, but the players you have can't do it.
They're big and slow.
Then you have to adjust. You have to adjust your style to half-court basketball and work your way into, Same way with things around here.
Same way.
I mean, it's like children's ministry, just, recently kind of took oversight. I could have this grandiose idea of what children's ministry should look like,
That's leadership.
but that doesn't do me any good if what I have, if they don't teach that way, or that's not their style, or
Yeah.
that's not what they can adapt to. So it does no good. So first we have to get together and see what people's strengths are, and then work and build our base from them, because they're the one actually in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? If a guy can dig a ditch quicker with a shovel, because that's what he likes, than he can with a piece of equipment, then let him dig a ditch with a shovel. You know what I'm saying?
But he's only gonna dig